This is probably the most important slide of my lecture. My name is Yujian Tang. You can scan this code. You can go find me on LinkedIn. You can come send me messages, whatever. My background is I used to do AutoML at Amazon. The logo that you see right here is my company logo. And then I also give lectures at Stanford. Let's see. Today we'll be talking about AI agents. So we'll go through four types of agents, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more about the architectures of fully autonomous agents, which are the most interesting ones and probably the ones that you care about. So before we get into this, how many of you guys have built your own agent for fun, or how many of you guys have put an agent into production? Okay, so a few of you. So you guys probably know a lot about what I'm going to talk about. So step one, what is an AI agent? Normally, I would pause here and wait for someone to raise their hand and actually answer this question, but I don't think we have that much time today, so we're going to go to the next one. So for the way I think about this, and the way I think it is broadly defined across multiple companies, multiple industries, is basically you have a generative AI model and you have some tools. And it's goal-driven. So the agent, you don't define any workflows. You don't say, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. You just say, all right, you have an AI, you have some tools. Here's what I want you to go do. Go figure it out with these tools. And the AI just makes these decisions for you, right? So this is kind of what I think of as like the ideal fully autonomous agent model. So there's a spectrum of agents, right? So you have basically these human-centric agents. So this, as you can see, goes from less autonomous to more autonomous. So you have human-centric agents, which are basically agents where they're like very simple, small, kind of like, little creatures, little agents, and you tell them what to do and you kind of use them and leverage them as you need. And then there's more like human in the loop. So this is like something where you're kind of like working with the AI. You are kind of saying like, here's what I want. The AI says, okay, here's an example. Then you go and you mess with the workspace. And then there's like fully autonomous agents, which, typically you would go and edit at the end. But fully autonomous agents are kind of like what, if you go on Twitter, if you go on LinkedIn, if you go on, I don't know, whatever social media platform you like, you'll probably see people talking about these fully autonomous agents. And this is kind of the goal, right? This is what we want. These are agents which will fully do everything for you. You just say like, hey, make me dinner. And it'll say, okay, here's what's in your fridge. Here's how you can make it. Now I'm going to go do it, right? Okay. So we'll talk first about human-centric agents. So these are like your small kind of like, these are task-specific, very like, maybe you ask it to do things like summarize my email, or sync my work calendar with my personal calendar, or tell me about what happened in that call and give me some action items and then send an email, something like that. A lot of times these are like just simple tasks that you will kind of have some AI be able to do, and then you just tell like, I need this done, and it will go and do that very, very simple task for you, right? And then there's human in the loop. So this is a very popular agent model right now, right? So I don't know if you guys remember when these things first came out, there was this whole thing about like, oh, do we want human in the loop agents? Do we want fully autonomous agents? And right now, human in the loop is probably the one that works the best. There are fully autonomous agents, of course, and some of them do work. We'll talk more about that later. But the defining feature for this is that the AI will do a lot of the heavy decision-making work, but you will be there to support it and confirm it's like what it's doing. So things that are an example of this would be like if you want to do like competitive analysis, maybe it does some research for you, it compiles the research, maybe it'll do it live on like a workspace, and you'll kind of go in, you'll be like, yes, no, and then you'll get your competitive analysis, right? Or maybe you create a slide deck for a presentation. Maybe you're like me and you want to not actually create a slide deck, and you just go to ChatGPT and you're like making a slide deck, I'm talking about agent architectures, and then it spits this out. Or it does coding agents, right? So I'm sure, how many of you guys here are software engineers? Right, so you guys are probably familiar with like Cursor, Klein, whatever, RuCode, Windsurf, Bolt New, whatever, all these things. I would consider these as human-in-the-loop agents. They have this agentic style of work where they say like, you say, hey, here's what I need you to do. It does some planning, it does some action, and you approve it, right? So that's human-in-the-loop. And then we have fully autonomous agents. So these are probably the most interesting ones. Basically, the AI does a actually complex task, right? Something that has some level of unpredictability, lack of control, a lot of different variability to it. So I think great examples of this would be like a self-driving car. Maybe like if you have like trading bots, it does like 4x, or actually like automated customer service, right? So a lot of times customer service requires a lot of different steps. That's why humans are really good at the customer service type jobs. But if you have an agent that can handle the multiple different steps, multiple different tools, it's really good for this. So let's go into some of these architectures. So first we'll look at the basic agent architecture. So basically, as you can see, we start with a goal, and then we just send it to an agent. We send it to the LLM. The LLM says, here, I've got these tools. I'm going to decide what tools to call. I'm going to get some information back, and then I'm going to send it back, and that's my outcome. So this is a simple agent. And then if we want to do orchestrator agents, I think this is a pretty common pattern right now, where once you have a task that's pretty complex, you want to be able to orchestrate that task. So you say, hey, this is kind of like if you have like a manager in a team, right? So you go to the orchestrator agent, it's your manager. You tell it like, hey, here's the task I want you to do. Here's your OP1 goals, whatever. And then it goes to the agents, and the agents kind of act like individual contributors. They say, hey, I can do this, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. And then you get your output. This is for slightly more complex tasks. And then this is probably the most complex of them all, is when you have like agentic swarms. So you've probably seen things like Swarm GPT or whatever, A to A, right? This is the idea behind it, is that you have agents that can call agents. They can, have my agents call your agents kind of thing. And they'll tell each other what to do. They can use each other as tools and so on and so on. Now, there's a lot of dangers with this, right? You can have infinite recursion. You can have, too many tokens, all this kind of stuff. But this would be like for really like complex tasks that you want to get done. This is kind of similar to how like startups operate, right? Okay, I think I'm on time. I have 1 minute left. So once again, this is me. Yeah, my name is Yujian Tang. I used to work on AutoML at Amazon. I give lectures. I run a company. If you want to contact me, scan that QR code and find me on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you.